A feeling of emptiness is a side effect of early trauma. And it's very common for adults who were abused and neglected as kids, even when they are now in a loving relationship, to feel like the love just can't reach them. Or like there's a giant barrier to really being close to another person and really committing to them. Have you had that experience when you feel unhappy in a relationship that seems for every reason like it ought to feel good? It can be hard to tell whether you're just stalling from an inevitable breakup or whether you're screwing up a good thing and you're going to end up leaving and regretting it for the rest of your life. So I got this letter recently from someone I'll call Sam. And Sam says, all right, hi Anna. I've been with my girlfriend about 2.5 years and we've lived together for about the last 2. We both have trauma in our past, and she has ADHD, depression, and chronic illnesses that often keep her down emotionally and physically. She does a lot for me and truly tries her best to be a support in every way she can. From the outside, our close friends and family think we have a very stable and loving relationship. In many ways, that's true. However, I have felt like something is missing over the past 1.5 years. So 2.5 years together, 1.5 years feeling like something's missing, that's a big chunk. No matter how hard I work on my own therapy and hearing, I just want to escape myself sometimes. How common is it for someone with CPTSD in a healthy relationship to struggle with feeling fulfilled or wanting to escape? There are moments when I feel very certain about our relationship and our future, but then those feelings are replaced with dread and anxiety, and things just feel wrong. It's often a flux back and forth from any sense of certainty, and it's a real drain. I know I am a more avoidant type generally, but I do struggle with being a people pleaser in some situations, and it's possible that I have confused romantic love with care and obligation. I am one of the older kids in a very big family who was also my mother's emotional crutch, so I can see that at play. Also, if you use my question, please don't use my name. My girlfriend, being the good girlfriend that she is, follows your channel for my benefit. So thank you, Sam, for sharing this letter with us. I think a lot of people have been in this situation. First of all, I want to urge you to handle this with care because it sounds like this could be an amazing lifelong love. And while you figure out what's holding you back, I want to help you keep the door open on that good possible outcome. At 2.5 years, I can imagine the idea of a lifelong commitment is starting to be a topic at the dinner table with you two. And with the history you mentioned of being an emotional crutch for your mom, it sounds like boundaries are probably a thing that are hard for you. I heard that you're an avoidant type, you people please, and that sounds to me like boundaries are this struggle for you. And that could be what's going on here. And there's a really good chance that with some healing around boundaries, you can have more ease in this relationship. Let's find out. All right. You abandon yourself sometimes just to make other people happy. And I know it's coming from a good place, but now everyone needs you to be clear and strong and to have your boundaries, because otherwise your presence in a relationship is like a leaky tire on a car. You can't count on it. There could be trouble down the road. You know you're taking a risk every time you keep driving that car. So that's my metaphor for you, that you're the risk in this relationship. I'm going to suggest some steps you can take to get this sorted out. One of them is take a period of discernment. This is probably going to be at least 6 months. More is okay if you need it, but at least 6 months to let you go deep and decide if you want to commit to this relationship. And when you do this, what it's going to require of you is that you be honest with yourself and with your girlfriend about what's going on. And I know that's going to be a really hard conversation. And so it's a conversation you need to have, but in the most reassuring way you can, all right? So you can say things like, I think committing to this relationship may be what I want to do. I feel like I'm having trouble getting totally clear about that. And I want to take the time I need so that if I make a commitment to you, I know that I'm giving it to you 100%. I realize that's going to be hard for us. Do you think you can hang with me while I do that? I'm doing it in the service of this relationship. Then she might say, gosh, I'm scared that this is going to lead to you going, I don't want to be here, because why would you even do this in the first place? Sounds like you don't want to be here. So fear comes up. And the honest thing would be to admit, yes, that is a possibility. And I never want to get you trapped in a relationship where that's going to come up later. I want to make sure that what I give you in this relationship is something you can count on and is coming all the way from my heart. So that's what I mean. A reassuring conversation that's not dishonest, but that's reassuring, because you would be asking her to kind of, stick with you while you do this. And that's going to be hard. It's hard to take backward steps. It's inevitable that it's going to feel like a threat and a loss, but it's a little like, I don't know if you knit, but if you knit a sweater and you make a big mistake and there's a big problem in it, and you keep knitting and you keep knitting and you've made practically a whole sweater, and then you go, wait, there's a big problem. You think, well, can you cut that part out? No, you can't. You know what you have to do? You have to like unravel the whole thing, go back to the mistake, get it right, and then re-knit the sweater. And it's worth it for a lifelong relationship to take a step back sometimes. And I think, it's practical and attractive and desirable to move in with somebody when you're in love with them. But this is one of the prices we pay, is that we now have somebody like counting on us for the living situation. We're counting on them, and it becomes really hard to negotiate and navigate. If anybody watching, if you haven't yet gotten into the great relationship of your life, I'm just going to say, delay a little longer than people who don't have CPTSD. Don't move in so fast, because people with CPTSD, exactly because of this, because of the avoidant or clingy personalities that we come with, the attachment wounds, the lack of certainty around, am I people pleasing or am I just being a good guy? All that stuff takes a little more time with us. So if you can delay that living together, it'll really help you. But sometimes it's not practical, and sometimes it's already done, and here you are. So I want to honor where you guys are in the relationship. But here's the hard part. This probably requires that you live somewhere else for the 6+ months, so that you really actually can have boundaries placed for you. And that when you cross over into closeness with your girlfriend, that you are consciously choosing to cross over in there, and not just sort of having it be the default assumption or something you feel pressed into just to make her happy. And if she's sad about this, if she's having a hard time, if she begins to threaten to leave or something, you're gonna have pressure to just give up on this, on your boundaries. But I'm telling you, having some space to think through and make conscious decisions about how close you get to somebody can be a very good way to re-knit that sweater, to come back together in a healthy way where you really did bring 100%. So let's say you guys lived separately. You could live not so far apart. Your place could be the cheapest one. I know it's very expensive to do this, but again, it's a lot less expensive than getting married and getting divorced in the future. So if you value this relationship, if you're not prepared to just give it up right now, I would just say, find a way to have your own place that's going to work for you for at least 6 months. And then what you can do, rather than being like a married couple who is together every night, you can be like a dating couple who gets together maybe a couple times a week. And I know that's not a lot. It's nowhere near what you're used to together, but that's how you can kind of bring back the space between you that gives you what you need for discernment. And again, if you don't see each other 5 nights a week, it's going to feel like a loss. But you quickly get used to it. The dates start to become really special. And as long as you feel like there's a strong possibility that you really are going to give yourself 100% to this relationship, and that you really sincerely are trying to discern that, you saying that really does help kind of soften the blow of backing up like that. I would also recommend you set boundaries about how often you talk about the status of the relationship. So it's possible to go on a date and enjoy each other a couple times a week, but maybe limit it to once a month. How's our relationship doing? How are you feeling about it? Does it seem like things are getting better? Is something hard? So that this doesn't just turn into a great big processing fest. Relationships don't thrive when it's just a bunch of drama like that. It sounds like you guys have a very grounded, not true dramatic relationship, but of course a separation like this is going to introduce some drama and some need to talk, but just limit it like that. You also might want to limit how often you talk on the phone. So maybe once a day, check in on the phone, but limit the time. Maybe daily calls limit to 15 minutes, and a couple of them when you're not going on a date could be longer, like half an hour. But I'm just recommending that you boundary this stuff so it doesn't become full enmeshment again. For somebody like you, Sam, where you have a mother who used you as an emotional crutch and you worry that you avoid people and then people please and you don't even know how you got in this situation, it's so important for you to practice the art of reaching out and making a date. All right? That is just an important part of relationships where we practice inviting what we want. Now, usually the person who's more into the relationship, more certain about it, more clingy in their attachment style, they're going to be the one who needs to pull back a little more, and the one who's being avoidant needs to make conscious choices. But I don't think you can fix this by staying in your current situation, in my opinion. Of course you do whatever you think is best, but in my opinion, if you stay in this situation, you're never really going to get that chance to feel the absence of your girlfriend, let that absence sit there, experience what that's like, because you know what you're trying to make room for. You're trying to find out if it's like that feels really great and like a relief and right for you. All right, you've got to give yourself space to know this first. And then, as you consider committing to the relationship, to do that act of asking for a date. That is like a trigger in our souls for commitment. I'm trying, I'm having to try for this, I'm having to reach out. There's always a risk that if you do a move like this of separating partially for a period of time, yeah, there's a risk that will damage the relationship or end it. But if this is a good relationship, and it sounds like it is, then this testing of its quality will only make it a better relationship. Learning to have boundaries takes time, but you will never be sorry when you're in a lifelong commitment that you've got those in place. And right now is the time for you, Sam, to really get going on that and to really get your skills up in having boundaries and choosing to come forward into a relationship with commitment, so that you get your answer about, is this the one for you, all right? Boundaries is how you show up in a relationship. So if you want more about boundaries, I've got this video coming up about how a lack of boundaries actually keeps you isolated, and you'll see it right here. And I will see you very soon.